Hi, this is Mr. B, and today I'm going to show you how I've been running Lighthouse as a scav. So we're loading into this raid with 22 minutes remaining, which is pretty typical to run in as a scav, and I've got a sawn-off Mosin here. Now the reason why I'm running Lighthouse, I don't typically run Lighthouse, is because it has the rogues, and the rogues are a pretty consistent way for you to at least get a chance at receiving a decent gun and some armor. Typically, for scav runs, I prefer to do factory runs, which are really quick. You often spawn in with some decent loot. Like, for example, here I've got an O-scope, lab key card. That's pretty nice, right? Um, Sell it on the flea, make some money. But without the flea and with the traders giving you so few rubles for the items that you sell them, and then charging you so much to actually buy the guns, it makes a lot more sense to just prioritize getting the guns, getting the items you actually are going to need within your scav runs when you can. Okay, so in this case, I just stepped down here and I hear shooting over there. This is the live raid, by the way, so there's danger around every corner, real danger. I'm going to be showing you my route. My route is adapted from my friend Ryan, and what I recommend doing is coming on this bridge, uh, going across the land if you can, as I approach the rogue encampment. And then coming up on the right hand side here and seeing whether or not the rogues are in their towers. I would say the vast majority of the time they are not present because a PMC has gotten here first. Yep, there's no one there, so we're free to just run right at it. But on the rare occasion that, for whatever reason, PMCs have not dealt with the rogues, I would recommend going all across the seashore, walking along the water until you get to this point, and then walking here in order to evade them. Now let's see if these guys gave me anything. It looks like this guy's already been picked pretty far clean. We'll switch for the headset. See if we get something. But yeah, so I think I explained it pretty well. So basically, the guns are just worth so much more in utility. It works to just get the guns, even if you're gonna risk, losing your lab key card or whatever, because that's only worth like 40k to the trader anyway. Unless you're trying to run labs, in which case I guess it does present some utility. Alright, so let's check out the other rogue, see if someone's looted him good. I'm gonna guess probably. Scav, I'm a scav. There's a guy here. Yeah, this guy is picked clean. Okay, so if both of these guys are picked clean, you can run this way. I would usually just touch this crate for a quick little look. Quick little look-see-peeksy. You might get an item or two here that might be worth something. Doesn't hurt. Tool chest. Feel like a lot of hideout upgrade items or tools things, so I'm constantly grabbing stuff here. And then I come to this wall, and I basically follow it down. Now, if there's a guy in the gun, he usually doesn't aggro you until you mess with him. Or you get really close. You could approach kind of either side of this wall. And then the other thing to be wary of is, especially if you are coming from the seashore, is that there's some roaming rogues, and they might sometimes be up and down this road. So if you're going to be jumping over that road, it is something to be mindful of. Just be careful. Okay. Every now and then, some of them get stuck inside that building for pathfinding. And now as we approach this building, we want to be mindful of rogues over there. It seems like, for whatever reason, this raid has already been picked pretty far clean. But we'll give it a shot. Now, people do tend to be pretty jumpy on this map, so I would say if you can, voice line often. that that does seem to help. Here, I will put something on my F2. Is that how I do it? I say fire. Do I drag it? I'm not sure how to trigger that. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I have no idea. All right. So I'm running up here, and we are just gonna check the rogues here. Check the guy on the gun, who often gets sniped right where he started. All right. So it looks like somebody did loot this guy, but they left the gun. So M4A1 is a nice gun. So it's worth getting. Yeah, not bad. So that also probably means that whoever rolled through here before us was starting to get pretty full on loot. So we've got a pretty good chance of coming across some actual left behind goods at this point. Because they were probably running this exact route as well. So they looted this guy. They left the Thunderbolt. So let's see if we find some nice stuff here. We're actually going to switch to this rig. Yeah, we got some mags for the M4. Nice. So now we just have a full upgrade here. Looks like maybe a scav got on the gun, being a little silly. Little silly boy. I'm going to switch over to the M4. That's an upgrade. And now, if you do feel like you've got some more room for loot, then the next place to go would be that building over there. If you are getting aggroed by guards on top of that tower, I would recommend going through the building, or you can pop in through this wall so you have that protection on your right-hand side. But if not, feel free to run just straight to it. My frame rate's not doing so well. Yeah, so I'm just kind of going up here. If there were rogues, sometimes you have a showdown on this street right here. But it seems like things are pretty quiet right now. So I'm just going to run right ahead. Yeah, let me pause for a second. I don't know what is happening with my frame rate. Let me see if I can fix that. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Yeah, so it looks like there was a bit of a showdown here actually, because this guy died. And yeah, while it is rare, if I do have room for more loot, which in this case I do, we're gonna check out this building. Okay, so Scav died here as well. There was a lot that happened before we got here. With the Scav, I'm basically just looking for a stack of ammo, which, yeah, PS, that's pretty good. Get some food. Oh, there's some fighting now. Generally, as a Scav, I try to avoid all fighting. I find it's very rarely worth it. Alright, cool. So that Scav died, which means this area has probably been looted already as well. But, as we saw before, every now and then. Yep, so there's no one on this gun. I'm just looking for the bodies. Quick body over here. Looks like this was looted as well. We're just going to check what's inside. Maybe they left us a goodie. In this case, they did not. Random gun parts. Variety M855. Nice. Got a occasional goodie here and there. Okay, so there was a guy over there who was looking at me in a very creepy way. So I'm going to pop up here. If I do see him, I'll take the shot. Just because otherwise I think he's going to get me. I don't see him now. I think I see movement inside. Yeah, he's still on though. Is that a PMC? I don't know. It's a very hard shot. I cannot tell. But we're not going to chance it. We gave him a little metal. Hopefully he doesn't look at us, and then we can run away. Trying to dip. Hopefully we get out of here. All right, we're looking good. Okay, now in terms of extracts, almost always I have the industrial zone gates, which is what I'm going for now. If you are feeling pretty good on loot after the first building, then you can also take Scav Grotto if you have that. If not, you might have to walk all the way to the other side of the map, and in those cases I generally do not think it's worth it. I think for the amount of time it takes, probably just worth going to another building, or just, you know, waiting it out for 5 minutes to make sure everybody's gone, and then going to industrial gates anyway. I'm going to get high on stamina, and then we're going to run to the gates. Probably should have waited for a bit more stamina. Alright, so that's it. That's how the loot run is done. And if you're lucky, you get some armor, and hopefully a gun, or maybe even two. In that case, it looked like it was pretty looted by the time I got there, but there was still some decent pickings, including some pretty nice ammo, and, I mean, a nice gun that I could definitely use in my PMC raid. In addition to anything else I spawned with. Alright, so how long did that raid take? About 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then I'll just show you now, this is what the route looked like. Here is the map with north on our left-hand side. And I crossed this bridge, kind of on the land bridge here. I peeked up onto this rock in order to see whether or not these two guards were still present at their machine guns. In this case, they were not, so I just ran across, popped in here to the first guard, ran over here, popped into the second guard. If it were the case that they were present, then I would have seen that here. I would have walked back to the shoreline, and I would have followed the shoreline all the way around until I reached some rocks in my way. At that point, I would have walked up the rocks, and then from here, you can have a pretty decent flank on taking out this guy. It's usually close enough that you could probably get a shot off on this guy, and this guy as well. At which point I would have ran onto the road, and then passed in here, catching up with the first alternative route. At that point, I went here, I looted both of these guys, and then I walked up and came up to this gate. I then ran over to this gate, looked inside, went around the side here, went up the stairs, looted this gunner, came over here, looted this gunner. At that point, I went down the stairs, I walked over here on the side of the building until passing through this hole in the wall. I walked around the wall, made a turn here. That's when we noticed that the scav had died due to a potential showdown. I went all the way down this street and up this staircase here. Once I reached this staircase, I checked the guy on the gun over here, and then the guy on the gun over here. It was over here that we picked up the M855, and it was over here that we noticed there was somebody a bit sus over here. We took a shot, and at that point we descended the stairwell, walking back this way, just because we saw a threat here, and generally I wouldn't recommend kind of walking in this area if you can avoid it. I walked back here, crossed all the way to the road, ran over here, caught my stamina for a moment, and then ran here for an extract. This is the industrial zone gate, and then if you feel pretty good on loot after this first building of loot, and want to walk back down, if you have the scav hideout at the grotto, then this is a great way to walk back and do an earlier extract if you feel like you're pretty good on loot after maybe looting these guys and you don't want to risk engaging with this second building. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped you. Bye.